He has a desire innate in him to obtain the possession of an article or an object. So it is the kama which is happening, which is causing the cause of act. It is kamagam samudra mavisha, samudra ivahi kamaha. The desire is nothing less than an ocean. You can never satiate a desire by fulfilling it. This is a great pronouncement in Bhagavad Gita. Nahi kamopabhogena kamashyamyati kasyachit havisha krishna vatmeva bhoja evabhi vartate. There is a fire pit. There are some logs which are burning. If you want them to subside, what should you do? Should you add some ghee to this? No. If you just think that, okay, let me put some ghee, with this I will put off, that's a false assumption. It can never happen. In fact, the desire increases manifold. It multiplies. Havisha Krishna Vartma Iva Bhoja Evabhi Vartate. This is what happens. So the desire with which we do all these sacrifices, yajnas, that is actually second category or third category. It is inferior in its quality. Vajashravas has started to perform the yajnas. The Sarvaveda is in progress. Normally the Dakshina Dana, giving the charity of Dakshina, is in the last part of the yajna. But at times at specific junctures, there are some Dakshinas which are prescribed. Dakshina is a form of gift. It can be in many forms. Dvadasha Gavagam Seeram Dakshina means a plow which can be pulled by 12 oxen. That is Dvadasha Gavagam Seera. Similarly, we have the many forms of Dakshinas, gifts have been prescribed. So Vajashravas has started to give away one by one, one by one. So what should be given first? When you have to part with all your possessions, you have to start at some point. Where do you start? Our Guruji, Shri Ganapati Siddhartha Swamiji, normally, jovially he puts it out. We all have an occasion to visit Varanasi. There the Purohit at the end of the Tirtha Shraddha, he will ask us to give a list of our favorite things which have to be out of our life. Some say, oh, I am fed up with my anger. From this day onwards, I am giving up my anger. Then the Purohit will ask, okay, what do you want to give? I have given up anger. The question is repeated second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time. He loses his temper and he starts to shout at the Purohit. Is that sort of giving? No. You should give up something which you really covet. This is the best thing in my life. You should start with them. So what are your best possessions? You have to grade them. You always start with your best possessions. Similarly, a mother, when she is asked to part the possession of his child, when he goes to the Gurukula, that is her greatest sacrifice. It is known as a sacrifice because though the umbilical cord is cut off, that innate feeling of affection, that flow, though the father is also equally affected, the mother is more expressive. So the first such juncture comes in the life of a mother when you part with the company of your children. So when you grade all these things, similarly when it is not that you should select something which you do not like or seldom use. Suppose if you are fed up with the bitter gourd or any other vegetable, you first leave it out. That should not be the case. So this is the discussion which is very much important because you are conducting a ritual with an objective. Whether that objective is superior or ulterior, that discretion will alone decide, not the act. Because acts are very similar. Let us take another example. Why acts are similar but the intentions are very important. Let me quote another sentence of sage Vyasa. He said that Tapora Kalkaha, To do penance is not a sin. To do dana is also not a sin. To perform a charity. To do a yajna is also not a sin. Okay, boss, why are you saying all these are not sins? Did someone say that performing tapasya or the penance, does it constitute a sin? Did someone say that? Why are you saying all these things? Doing a yajna, performing a charity, giving away something, how can that be a sin? Why should you say that? Vidhi purvako hai nishadha. Unless there is a vidhi that you should do this, then only you should bear it. I can't ask you to get up, I can't ask you to just remain seated, and I can't forbid you from getting up. When you are already seated, when you are attempting to get up, then I should say you should not get up. So this does not make any sense in the first three lines. The fourth line, Sage Vyasa beautifully gives us the upaya for this puzzle, the solution for this puzzle. Tanyeva bhavopa hatani kalkaha. All these acts, if they have an objective which is not pure in its intention, an object which is ulterior, they all constitute sins. Actually, an act can never be a sin. In Shastras, we have multiple examples. Tapasya cannot be a sin. But just remember what happened, what is the after effect of the penance done by many Rakshasas. Ravana, what happened? Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, what happened? The entire universe was totally upside down. What about dana? Giving a dana with ulterior motive, what would happen? It would lead to a series of disasters. Yajnas, many yajnas were performed just to obliterate someone, demolish someone, harm someone. Does it not constitute a sin? Tanyeva bhavopa hatani kalkaha. If your intention is pure, all these acts constitute merit. Otherwise, they are the other way. So you have to grade your possessions and give out the best first. In any presentation, you give the best slides, the maximum presentation. You don't give the worst one, the first slot. If you do that, you will be a loser. Here, in the course of this narration of this story, there are two versions. Kathopanishad has a different version, and the Kathika Panchaka of the Yajurveda has a little different version of Taittiriya Shaka in particular. It says that the possessions list was almost coming to an end. This is the Kathika Bhaga of Yajurveda, Taittiriya Shaka. The Kathopanishad gives a little different version. But whatever it is, the list of possessions was coming to an end. A small kid who was by the side of his father. He was little puzzled, perplexed, bemused. What is happening here? My father, by the conduct of Sarva Vedas, he was supposed to give the best of his possessions, but the list is going on, and I see some of the less important, less endowed, and less qualitative things being given away, such as the handicapped cows and barren cows, they are being given away. Does it constitute a sin or a merit? He was a little puzzled. He was so naive. He went to his father. He just asked, "Father, do you belong to me or not?" "Oh son, how come you do not belong to me? You are, of course, my possession." Father replied. Promptly he asked back, he retorted, "Okay, when you are giving all your possessions, why have you spared me? You should have given me away. Why not?" He was taken aback. Just get lost, I am doing something else. Okay, he could not be very easily nudged. He persisted, insisted that he should also be given in the list of possessions and he should be given away. Father got furious. Mrutyave etva dadamiti. Okay, you wanted to go away from me? Okay, I am giving you to the Lord of Death, Mrutyu, Yama. That was a slip of tongue actually. He never meant that his son should die immediately. He never meant it. The after effects, because see, always we have a saying, do not take any permanent decisions in fits of rage. If you take any permanent decision, the catastrophic effects would be very hard for us to, because we are the worst sufferers, whatever might be the case. As we observe in the society, there are many frictions among the siblings or the parents and the children. Children will, initially they might feel some pinch, but slowly they find their own momentum, their rhythm, and they get away. But the worst sufferers would be the parents if they do not handle it properly. So that was a slip of tongue for Vajashravas, but he was in the woe of Yajna. He cannot take back anything which has already said, whatever are his motives or anything. He cannot take back anything. Okay, then he was not a lesser mortal. He was very much scholarly, and he has also done he had his quota of great tapasya, penance. He had all his belt on his side. Of course, he has done this sankalpa, great sankalpa of performing the Sarva Vedas. That itself is a great sankalpa. Is it not? Even to think of not receiving anything for 1 month itself is it could be a cause of mental tension for us. Let us not even do this. If we say for the next 30 days, I will not take anything from anyone. This Apratigraha Vrata is itself is a great cause of tension and anxiety for us. So he was great mortal. And the sage has foreseen what is likely to happen, and why had it happened at first instance. Just a minute. He lost his discretion at first place. Then he had to somehow get back what he lost. So he had to find a methodology. At first, the son could get upset literally, because if the son is given away to another sage or another Brahmana, probably he could retrieve him at some point. But there is no point, because he is going out of this loka, his world. So there is no other go for him. Then he had to assuage the feelings of the young son. So he said, okay, he has just foreseen what is likely to happen. There is something called an unscheduled arrival and unscheduled stoppage, which would upset our balances. If you have an unscheduled guest, what would happen? Everything seems tipsy-turvy. We don't know what to do, how to arrange for him, how to treat him. And just by slip of tongue, the Vajashravas has said that I am sending you to the Yama. But he never meant it at first place. But I know he has made a vow. Yama was not his place, the Pitruloka. He was not in his place. He was elsewhere. That is what the Upanishad says. At this time, we are not dealing with this philosophical aspect of this point. What is Yamaloka? What is Pitruloka? Where is Yama supposed to be? How he controls everything? That itself is another subject. So Yama was not in place. He was not expecting this boy. So Vajashravas has foreseen all these things. He says, when you go there, Yama will not be there. You have to wait patiently for 3 days. There will not be any food. 3 days and 3 nights you have to stay outside. Then when Yama will come, and he will ask you, what do you want? Then you have to come out with your list of desires. And he has given a small synopsis of just a curtain raiser about what is likely to happen when he goes there. Both the versions are somewhat similar about this aspect. So anyhow, this small child, straight from Sarva Vedas, Yajna, has gone to the Loka of Pitru Loka. our ancestral place. Yama is the ruler for the entire this thing. Okay, anyhow, let me explain the concept of Pitraloka, how it happens. Of course, this is also one of the subjects of the conversation between Yama and the small kid called Nachiketas. That's the name of the kid. Pitraloka is a place, it's a resting place or a place of trial. It is not permanent. The deities which govern the system are different. Even when your father is alive, you are asked to perform the Pitru Tarpana. This Pitru Tarpana does not actually apply to your father who is alive, but the governing deities who are responsible for the system of Pitru Loka. Soma Pitruman, Yamongiraswan, Agnishvarta, Agnih Kavyavahana. These are the main deities who govern the system of Pitru Loka. After you traverse from this life, till you await the judgment for your past actions, there should be an intermittent place. That interim place is Pitraloka. So he was waiting outside patiently, but he could not get the trace of Yama. The fourth day, Yama gave his darshana. It is said that Yama darshana is not actually less in its effect and merit. Only the highest people with the highest merit get the darshana of Yama. Otherwise, you can just imagine the president of this country receives only his counterpart. If there is any other lesser mortal, one of his staffs, subordinates, or even the staff of the White House, they receive people. But to have the highest one to receive us, we have to attain that state. So Yamadarshana is not very easy. The judgments, you cannot meet the Chief Justice of this court, the Supreme Court. It's not easy. But Nachiketas had that merit in him because he had sincerity in him. Because he felt that his father's best possession, and by giving this possession away, his father would definitely benefit and the conduct of Sarva Vedas would be fulfilled. It's an accomplishment itself. He had that sincerity in him. Of course, with the Purva Punya, with the great acts that he might have done in his previous lives, Nachiketas on the fourth day got the darshana of Yama. If you have any unexpected guest, what would be the natural reaction? First, you get upset. If he is too big to ignore, then grumblingly, okay, please come in, you will somehow try to manage it. You will try to give some attention to him. And it is very unlikely that we repent that you have for your absence. That is the normal human tendency. But Yama is not a normal human. It's a fact that we all should understand that Yama is not one person actually. It is a post. As we have the president of this country, Yama, the post is Yama. If you go through the Puranas, you have many instances of very qualified people who have worked very hard to reach that state of, that position of Yama. It is not a simple thing. So he was a great human in his previous avatara, and he has attained that post of Yama. Yama-Jami Samvada of Rigveda also is a great eye-opener about the morality and ethics. That is the greatest of Yama. Yama was really peeved. Oh, a great boy has come here and I was not able to attend to him for 3 days. It's an unscheduled visit. It is not easy to die when you like. Without his consent, you can even never be able to leave this mortal body. It's virtually impossible. But he has transcended those restrictions and he has reached this stage. That means he is extraordinary and abnormal in his prowess. That itself is a good indicator. So Yama has recognized this and he has realized the entire story, what has happened. But anyhow, he was sorry that he could not attend to this boy when he was around. Then he said, "Oh Nachiketas, you are a great mortal. I am really happy to have you with me. But I am very sorry that I could not attend to you for the past 3 days. In lieu of this mistake of mine, I would like you to give 3 boons to you. You please choose whatever you want. I will give you." Giving a oath is it's very easy, it seems, but to keep it up is really hard. Priyavakya pradhanena sarve tushyanti jantavaha tasmat tadeva vaktavyam vachaneka daridrata. Most of these dialects and these practices are prevalent in the marketing field. Even without meaning anything, our marketing sales people, they promise an entire commodity. This can do that. Because there is no bound. And the implementation fellows, the delivery fellows, they will have to face the wrath of the consumer. Because they have to deliver everything, whatever has been promised. Yadhi manasa dhyagati tad vacha karoti yad vacha vadati tad karmana karoti. Yadhi manasa dhyagati tad vacha vadati yad vacha vadati tad karmana karoti. Whatever you think is right, that should be reflected in your speech. Whatever is uttered with sincerity, that has to get translated into your actions. So, manas, mind, vak, the speech, act through your body. These are the 3 karanas. They have to work in tandem. There cannot be isolated promises, and the promises which are not coherent with each other, they can never be maintained. That is the Trikarana Shuddhi. Whenever a sentence comes out of our mouth, we should be really thoughtful to make that promise. Yama, I can't say that Yama was not thoughtful or he was ignorant, but he wanted to test the discretion of this boy. Because what can a small kid aspire for? As I have been meeting many children in this country, the utmost thing what they ask for is probably a set of toys, or a visit to the Legoland, or some Disneyland, or some video games, or some play. This is what everyone can expect. In the absence of all these things, probably some play, or some food, or some excursions. This is the maximum one can expect. But a person who has gone out of this world, out of his own volition, without any coercion, can he ask for any other thing? Any excursion? No. Nachiketas was not an ordinary boy, but he wanted to test, Yama wanted to test his mettle and his discretion. That is very important. He said, "What do you want? You want good progeny when you grow old, you want good wife, you want good children, you want great knowledge, you want great wealth, whatever you want I will give you. You ask any 3, I will sanction you that." Nachiketas was a great person, but at the same time, he was a small kid. The first boon what he sought was, "Pitara meva jivan maya niti." Let me go to my father with this body and life. That is the child instinct. Sanction. Okay, no problem. You will go with this body, with this mortal body, you will be the same person and you will remember everything, because once you leave this mortal body, when you enter it, the sensory association gets mitigated. That is the common understanding. It's very rare, even the medical sciences, when they talk about these things, it is very rare that the person who is out of this mind, after a prolonged spell of say comatose state, what would happen is it's very unlikely that he regains all his senses and all his previous memories. Once this mind, the soul goes out of this body, it is virtually important. It's not possible for you to gain everything. But Yama says that you will gain all your knowledge, you will recover everything, don't worry about it. Pitarameva Jivan Najani Tathastu, you will go to your father. The next question comes. How can I achieve this state? Because this is an out of turn event for me. How can I achieve this state? Is there a set procedure? Then he also asks, how did you achieve this place at first place? Let me know that. Because if you have followed certain procedures, you have attained this state, this position. This is not normal. So let me know that procedure first. He said, oh, he's a very tough nut to crack. I cannot really get over this fellow. Okay, then he also offers some other loops, but he is not affected. Nachiketa says, no. Please explain this. Ishtapurtajor me kshitim bruhiti hovacha. Ishtapurtajoh me akshitim bruhi. There are two sets of rituals. We should understand them. Ishta, Purta. Ishta is a set of ritual. Normally there are Shrauta and Smarta in nature, prescribed by various scriptures. The result of the Ishta or the Yajna is accrued to the Yajamana, the owner. If I conduct Ganapati Homa, if I sponsor it, the result will come to me, not to someone else. If I am engaging some people, I will give them dakshina, I will give them gifts. With that, their engagement with this ritual is over. This is Ishta. Similarly, if you are performing any danas, etc., they all constitute Ishta. But Purta is the second category. The benefit of the Purta accrues to common folks. Construction of schools, construction of bhojanashalas, construction of temples, construction of water bodies, maintenance of water bodies, planting tree saplings. These are some of the most important purtas. Actually, the Dharma Shastra lays great emphasis on the protection of water bodies and their maintenance, which was previously followed assiduously by all our forefathers. So Purta is the public charities, public utilities, we can just call them in the current day context public utilities. There is an end to all our activities in the sphere of Ishta and Purta. When do these paradigms shift? There is a kshiti or an end to this. How can I achieve the limitless effect of this Ishta and Purta? Is it really possible? By doing a set of Ishta and Purta acts, can I have limitless? What is the paradigm? I would like to know. Ishta Purta Yoga Akshiti. Then Yama has given out the elaborate procedure of Agni Chayana. This itself is the one of the highest levels of yajnas. Agni Chayana. He said, from this day onwards, this procedure will be named as Nachiketa Agni Chayana. It will be famous after your name. So, and he has given the entire Upadesha. For a starter, I should explain what is Agni Chayana. Agni is the fire, you all know. Chayana is to gather. In Chayana, there are Ishtakas, or the bricks, which are dependent on the hand size of the Yajamana. Multiple layers of bricks are arranged one by one, one above one. In the Agni Chayana, several mantras which describe each brick representing one celestial body or one great significant forces of nature, they are chanted and the bricks are arranged. On the top of it, if it is Trishahasra, there will be 3000 bricks. If it is Dvishahasra, it will be 2000. If it is Sahasra means it's only 1000 bricks. It itself is an elaborate ritual, and the Agni Chayana variant which is given to Nachiketas is called the Nachiketa Agni Chayana. And Yama has graced that whoever deploys this method of Nachiketa Agni Chayana will have equal merit that can be somewhat similar to what you got. So Nachiketa Agni Chayana was given as the second boon. Tritijam Runishwa. Okay, what is your last boon? He said, I see many people are departing from this world. What is happening to all these souls? Are they coming back? Are they resting somewhere? Are they enjoying something called heaven? Or do they really come back? Or do they suffer in your Pitraloka, which is called the hell? What is happening to them? Yama was really stunned by this volley of questions. He never anticipated that this small boy could pose these many questions, and he could seek such very important, because that is the most important aspect, the entry into this world and departure from this world. These are the two important questions that cannot be solved. Even on this day, in spite of the magnificent advancement in science and technology, these two are never solved. How a person is conceived, whether it could be a male or female, and when should it happen, when should it go out. You might have a set of predictions, but they are never to qualify as a comprehensive answers to your questions. That can never happen. We might say this is the best guess that could be possible. And the small boy is asking the all-important question. He wants to know the key. He wants to have the key. The command line he wants to have. Then Yama really wanted to test this boy. What would happen? See, I have been very benevolent to you, Yama says. Whatever you wanted, I am giving you. Why do you want to know all these things? You are a small boy. You want good gold, good amount of gold, I will give you. You wanted wonderful family, I will give you. You wanted command over many kingdoms, I will give you. You had the privilege of yajna, you all have it. Why do you want to know all these things? It's of no use to you. Then this boy, Kathopanishad really wonderfully describes the sentences. Let us go through them in the sentences of the small boy. He says, as you have rightly pointed out, there are many things that are called as great in this world. But what is their utility? Are they permanent? No, no way. What do you want me to do this with temporary, impermanent things, objects, objective possessions? How do they can make anything great in my life? It is never possible. And I thought you are a truthful man. That is what you are famed in your in our world. But I think it is contrary to what we hear. This thought was something really severe for Yama to bear. Then at times he also gets little angry, but he said, okay, I have given a word. Na vittena tarpaniyo manushya lapsyamahe vitta bhadrakshmachetva जीविष्यामो यावदीशिष्यसित्वं वरस्तुमे वरणीयस्स एव. He has given a set of logical statements by persisting with his original question, what happens to the soul after the departure. He says, Nachiketa said, Imaramaha sarathaha saturyaha nahidrusha lambhaneja manushyehi abhir patpartabhi Paricharakasva Nachiketo Varanam Manuprakshihi. Yama said, whatever is impossible to attain in your planet, the Bhuloka, Mattaha Tat Sarvam Chatatah Prarthakasva. Just seek everything to your heart's content. I will give everything to you. But Maranam Manuprakshihi, don't ask about the secret of Marana, death. Don't ask me, just spare that. Then, Navityana Darpaneya Manushkya, Nachiketas replies, okay, you give me so much wealth, what will happen? Can I ever make a person content with wealth? Whatever they earn, it is never complete. Still they have an earning for something else. So wealth can never make a person content. Okay, if at all I am destined to have wealth in my life, just for your darshana itself, I got what I wanted, and I am sure that, see, this is actually a logical statement, which is implying that you have already given me the wealth that is due to me. Lapskyamahe vittam adrashpa chetvat. If I see you, that itself constitutes a great wealth in my life. Okay, if you want me to live long, what will happen? At the end of the day, I need to come to you again, is it not? Just for the reason that I have an affinity towards you or you have an affinity towards me, will you spare me? No. Even your position itself is shaky. You are also not permanent. As long as you hold this post, you are permanent. What happens after that? Your successor will come and he will take me away. Jivashyamaha yavadishishkasitvam. As long as you want, as long as you rule, we will leave. If you don't want us to leave, we have to come back to you. If at all you want to give me, varastu me varaniyaha sa eva. That is the only thing I wanted to have. Ajirgatam avrutanam upayatya jirgan martyah kvadhastha prajanam. Yaspindadam vichikatsanti mrityo samparaje bhati bruhinastat yojam varo godhamana pravishtaha nanyam tasvan nachiketa vrinite. This Nachiketa does not want anything else. If at all you want to say Yama, Mrityu, all people on my planet are worried about one thing. They don't know about the status of the soul which departs from this body. If at all you want, you please tell me that. Otherwise, I have the satisfaction that of learning the true colors of you, that you are not actually keeping up your word. If at all you want to give me, you have to grant that boon and give me that knowledge. Otherwise, I don't want anything. I will be content with these things. Nanyam varam tasmat Nachiketa vrinite. Then Yama had got the true caliber of this boy. He is not after any possession. He wants to attain something eternal. That significance and phenomenon of eternity he wants not only for himself but for the entire humankind. He